We are back, and if you're just joining us right now live, this is an online open day hosted by University of Liverpool online programs. What we've done so far, just let me quickly walk you through the agenda of today. We've had 3 other sessions, but we've talked about the University of Liverpool. We've talked a bit about what kind of expectations you should have as an online student. We've looked at the management portfolio of the University of Liverpool online programs. And now we are actually focusing on what kind of support you will be getting from us during your studies to actually make them successful studies. Okay, so without further ado, let me just quickly introduce today's speakers. So for today, we have Katie Thompson, who is a student support manager, and Matthew Caesar Gordon, who is an enrollment advisor. And they will be presenting together with me all of the support networks that you are going to receive throughout your student journey. So just wanted to give a big welcome to both Katie and Matthew. Hello, both of you. How are you?
Hi, Michael. Can you hear us?
Now I can hear you. How are you guys doing?
Well, we were muting that we are doing well, and we're excited to be here with you guys.
Brilliant. Before we get started into the agenda and everything, can you briefly present yourselves so the audience kind of has an idea of who you are and what's your connection to the University of Liverpool online programs?
Would you like to go first?
Sure. So as you can see, my name's Matt. I'm an enrollment advisor, which means when you first register your interest in a program, I'm the one who will be contacting you to help you, come to a decision about which program is best for you. Now, that might be based on your goals and what you want to achieve going forward, and also what you've done previously and how we can really draw on that experience to make sure we get the best fit for you.
Yeah, and my name's Katie. I'm a student support manager here with the University of Liverpool, and I am here to support all students, once they go through the enrollment process and then are looking to start their studies. So I'm with you from the point, a few weeks before you start your first module up until the point that you graduate.
Brilliant. And before I get to the agenda part, just quickly, Matthew and Katie, how long have you been, supporting students along the way? Matthew, how long have you been enrolling students at the University of Liverpool online?
Coming up on 2 years now.
Brilliant. And Katie, how long have you been supporting students with their studies?
Yeah, just about 1.5 years now, so a bit short of how long Matt has worked.
So you have quite a good experience. So again, this is an open Q&A session. And if you have questions for us, make sure that you write them down in your Q&A box. And we will have dedicated staff to go through all of your questions and answer as many of them as we have the time. This is the last session of part 1, just so you are aware. After this session, we'll be closing down the session, and in 15 minutes, we'll be opening up the session for part 2. So please make sure that if you've not registered for the other sessions, I'm just going to briefly put the agenda up one more time. Make sure that you register for the sessions. We'll have our staffers put the link for the registration in the chat box. And with that in mind, all of the house rules and all of the, the admin stuff are out of the way. We can look into the agenda for this session. So what we'll be covering today is that we are going to bring back the support network map that you've seen throughout the sessions that we've had, especially with Christian's session. And we're going to actually have a deeper understanding of what kind of support systems you have as a student, because the student is at the center of everything here at the University of Liverpool. We have a lot of support systems in place for you. So we'll be looking at what kind of support, what is the support network for you. Then we're actually going to be looking at what the enrollment process is. So before you actually start the programs, what kind of services do we provide? And this is where Matthew is going to help us understand the enrollment process and what you should expect from the University of Liverpool online programs when it comes to these services. Then we're going to cover what we call the orientation for online studies, which is actually the transition part between enrolling or becoming a new student and actually starting your studies. And we're going to look at what are the support elements we offer there. Then we're going to look at your support systems during studies, and this is where Katie is going to help us understand what kind of support we offer as the University of Liverpool Online. And then we're going to look at the Career Advising Center, because this is something unique that we have across all programs. And I'm going to talk a bit about that in a few minutes. But it's important for you to have an idea that we offer this service for all of our online students. So with this in mind, and of course, after that, we're going to go to a Q&A session and cover a couple of the questions that you have already submitted to us, and try to answer as many of them as we have the time. So with this in mind, can one of you, or let's ask Katie. Katie, can you give us an idea of what kind of support is out there for a student, and what are they looking at right now?
Yeah, so I think before you start your studies, online students, they don't really understand how much support that you have going into your studies. It all starts really with the enrollment team there to assist you to, pick out what kind of program would be best suited for you. Moving into, the admissions team, also then to student support team. And our student support team also relies on, a lot of other teams to make sure that you are there doing well in your studies and that you have the best support possible. So, I mean, me, myself, I speak to the finance team on a regular basis, who students can also speak with. Also tech support team, we have internal teams making sure that your registrations are in place. We have our graduations team, an online library support team, writing center support team. So there's a lot of people that are there for you during your studies, who are there to help you succeed, and more importantly, to help you enjoy your program as well.
Brilliant. And Matthew, I'll ask you this. How connected are all of these elements of the support network? How often do different teams talk to each other to support the student?
Well, very often, daily often. Depends on where the student is in the enrollment process. Me personally, I work very closely with students on a daily basis, and also the admissions teams, making sure that students meet the application criteria, and then also how to work on applications in order to move through, and what they can be expecting later on in the process as well. And then there is an initial transfer period between enrollment and student support, where we will be working together very closely, and that all integrates with finance and the Versa team as well.
Brilliant. And as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. I think it also takes a village to support an online student, and it really is the kind of support that we offer here is among the unique support systems that online programs offer. And it's something that you have to look at, because there's so many people working behind the scenes to make sure that you're successful in your study journeys. Good. So we're going to take it from step A to step B to step C, and we're going to kind of look at the process in these two aspects. So Matthew, can you kind of guide us through what do you do as an enrollment advisor, and what's the kind of servicing that you offer? And yeah, also you mentioned that you talk to the admissions team. How is that working in terms of the relationship that you have with them?
Well, the first thing is really to understand that, I mean, the overriding thing to be aware of is that the student's goals are the most important aspect of it. So the first thing we'll be looking to do is have a good, thorough understanding of what the student is looking for when they initially inquire or make an application. We can then take into account things like your academic history, your work experience, and also the content of our programs to see that that's really well aligned. Now, a lot of our programs do have different entry requirements, so that's something else that enrollments would do. We work very closely with admissions to understand exactly what the student needs to do to really streamline the process for them.
And on a day-to-day, what is your activity like? How do you go about communicating to students, to prospective students, and consulting them on their choice of program?
Well, a variety of media. We will be phoning people. We'll also be emailing, WhatsApp. We have an online chat function. So any way that the student wants to speak to us will be available for you. Everyone's coming from different backgrounds and different time zones. Some people are working during the day. So really just finding whichever way is most beneficial for the student. Okay.
And in average, in your experience, how long does it take for a person to be enrolled in one of the programs?
It really depends on the individual case, of course. Once we receive all of your documents and everything's in order, the enrollment advisor will do an initial review of everything before it gets passed over for a final stamp of approval. Internally, once the documents are all ready, then it can take around a week or so to move through the process.
Okay. Moving just a bit ahead, we're going to go back a bit to the enrollment process, and we're going to talk a bit about that in the Q&A section as well, and we're going to get an overview. But I just want to understand from the perspective of the transition from being a new student to actually getting ready for online studies. What is the orientation process like? What do the people need to have in mind when it comes to the transition between these two phases? Matthew, can you answer this question for us?
Yes, certainly. So at the beginning of class, before the class actually starts, we have a online induction course. And that's a really useful tool for students to become familiar with the online environment. So once the classes actually start, you can really hit the ground running. Then from day one of studies, you'll be working with the enrollment advisor for approximately 2 weeks. And they will be able to help you with any issues you might find in the classroom, with just finding your way around, or helping you pointing out things that may be missing or that you need to do, just to make sure that you're very comfortable before that longer handover to student support after around 2 weeks.
Okay, and do they get already access to the online classroom from the beginning? How does that work?
So once you accept your student agreement and you're ready to go, 2 weeks before class starts, you'll get access to the online induction course. That is open until the week before class starts. Once class begins, then you are in the online classroom and you will have access to the full platform. Bits and pieces of that are available beforehand, just again, so you can get used to where everything is. You can find the student finance portal, for example, already there. And then when the classroom is ready to launch on the start of class day, then the enrollment advisor will be able to talk you through where everything is.
And what kind of materials do they receive to get ready to be prepared for getting into the online classroom, getting the induction course? Do they have any things that they need to read, materials that they need to go through?
Sometimes, a lot of the time though, the courses are designed to begin on the start of class, so you wouldn't necessarily be expected to be very familiar with a lot of text from week 1 or week 2. The materials that will be given to you for week 1 and week 2 are designed for you to be starting then. You wouldn't be expected to have a huge background reading if you were looking to enroll closer to the start date, for example.
Okay, brilliant. And this is a very, very, let's say, new process for a lot of people. A lot of people have not studied online. This is a very, very new thing for them. Who is there throughout this process, from the moment that they're actually interested in the program to the moment that they start the induction course and get into the class as well?
So the enrollment advisor would be the primary point of contact. We have a lot of visibility over everything that they will be seeing, and hopefully by that stage we've built up a good relationship with you, and the student is going to feel that you have a good line of communication to be able to reach us and address any issues that they're finding. So you don't have to be aware of every different department in the organization and the university. Your enrollment advisor, if there is something that's out of their scope of responsibility, will be able to direct it to the appropriate department.
Brilliant. And then after this period, there's a handover. You start working as well with your student support manager. And this is where the student support manager's role comes into play. And Katie, can you walk us a bit through the different services that a student support manager offers to a student?
Of course. So like I said before, it starts during the period as well, before your studies actually begin. So when you're still in contact with your enrollment advisor, we'll kind of swoop in as well, just to introduce ourselves as another person that you'll be in contact with throughout your studies, just so that you can become familiar with us, from an early stage, and that at some point your enrollment advisor will let go of your hand, and then you'll be in the hands of student support as well. So student support, we call to introduce ourselves, as well as to make sure that you are on top of your preparations, such as doing the online induction course, watching any preparation videos, and just to, discuss how comfortable you are with starting your studies online. So this gives us already the foundation to, make a relationship that you might have already established with your enrollment advisor as well. And then from that point forward, we do try to reach out to students as often as we can, especially during their first module, just to see, how everything's going, making sure if you have any questions that they can get answered. Of course, I think there's only so much preparation you can do before your module actually begins, and most questions do come up once you're actually in that first module, doing your assignments, as Christian said, within that first week. And then, that's when questions come up as well. So we do try to reach out, especially during first module, just to, check in and make sure that you're doing okay. And then from that point forward, of course, we do advise on some other teams as well that you could use. The Writing Center is especially useful for new students, especially if you haven't ever studied or you haven't studied in a really long time. Then the Writing Center is definitely, a source that we reach out to as well to inform you about.
Can you tell us a bit about how the Writing Center works and what the purpose of the Writing Center is for, for supporting students?
Yeah, so the Writing Center, it's there not to do your work for you, of course, but just to, give you advice on your academic writing, to see how you can improve, to give you information on citing and referencing, which is very important with the University of Liverpool. As it is a UK university, the type of writing that is expected of you, or the referencing and citing, it's a lot different than, the countries that you might come from. For example, some countries, citing and referencing might not be as important, which is something that new students might struggle with. So it's something that we try to, provide as many academic resources as soon as possible to ensure that, right from the get-go, you are prepared. And then from that point forward, you can only improve on your academic writing. And the Writing Center is there to, further support this. They have particular tutors that you can have Skype sessions with, which is super useful. As well as to help, review any papers that you have submitted to provide some additional support on how you could improve your academic arguments or critical thinking, or, just generally how to improve on your academic writing.
Brilliant. And tell us a bit about the online library. What is that for students, and how can they access that resource? Yeah,
so the online library, it's specifically for online students. There's an associated online librarian as well who's always there to help you. His office hours, I believe, are Monday through Friday. So he's there to assist you with finding, any academic articles on citing and referencing as well. There's a bunch of academic resources through there. And you'll get your login details not right away during the onboarding process, but actually within the first 2 weeks of your studies. So it's something that you become familiar with as an online student and you'll grow accustomed to as well.
And people have access to the online library not only when the librarian is there, but all the time. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. So you can access, you don't have to, make sure that you're there through office hours. The online library, just like your online studies, you can access it anytime throughout the day. So, you can just go whenever you please, find that academic article, or if you are having troubles finding the article, just reach out to the librarian, but he might not get back to you right away, but he's usually pretty quick.
And as we have understood from previous sessions, you will be using the online library a lot in your academic journey because it is a source of referencing, is it a source of peer-reviewed journal, of materials that you're going to use, of reading materials for your assignment. So it is going to be an important resource for you. Then we see here that there's mention of a module instructor and a dissertation advisor. Can you clarify a bit what's the difference between the two, and when are they going to have these resources available for them?
Yeah, so every module that you start with, even with the online induction course, it's going to have an instructor that's there to help guide you throughout the module. So when you start your first module, you'll log in and you'll see that one of your first assignments is to post your personal introduction. And you'll see there that your instructor has actually already reached out and posted their introduction. So they'll be there to help guide, monitor the classroom, lead the discussions, ask probing questions, and as well to be there to answer any questions you might have about your academics or about, an assignment coming up. Like Christian said as well, they're there to, help support you if you do miss a deadline or if you think that you can't miss a deadline. So they're your main point of contact, within your studies, within the module specifically. And they usually try to answer you within 24 hours if you do ask a question. So it's important that if you do have any specific questions about your academics, or that you will miss a deadline, or, you're questioning that you might not make it, just to get in contact with them right away. And then moving down the line, once you finish your 8 modules, that's when you're going to start your dissertation or your final research project. Some students can do a consultancy project, some do a dissertation. There's different forms of the final research project depending on what your program is. But you're going to have a main point of contact during that time as well. So you'll probably have what we first call a general dissertation instructor, and they'll be there to help guide you through your research methods training or your dissertation preparation class, as well as you'll be assigned with, or some people get to choose their own dissertation advisor. It does depend on your program as well, so it's something that you should check within your program guidelines of what's specific to you. But they'll be there to guide you through the whole 40-week process. As well, like Christian said, it's a bit more frequent than if you were to do an on-campus study, because they're there to answer any questions that you have inside the classroom, whereas sometimes you have to wait to ask your questions to your dissertation advisor. If you're on campus, maybe you only have a few meetings. With these ones, it can be more frequent. So they're there to help you during that 40-week process to start with proposal approval and then move forward to writing the entire dissertation.
Brilliant. And Katie, tell me, who's the go-to person for a student for all of these study-related questions and concerns that they might have?
Definitely your student support manager. So if you have any questions related to your studies, I mean, we're always here to answer any questions, whether it be through email, chat, or on the phone. Depending on what your inquiry is, it might go to our fast response team that's located in Poland. More specific questions might come to your student support manager. If we're not here, you might talk to some other student support managers, just depending on vacation or holiday. But it really depends on what your question is. And then if you don't know who to turn to, just always come to us, because if you have a finance question, you don't know how to get in touch with the finance team, you can always ask us. But just definitely try to reach out to the associated team. If you have a tech question, we have a tech support team. If you have a finance question, we have a finance team. Of course, if you don't know, just ask your student support manager, though.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I actually wanted to mention these two other teams, but you've already did. So for any financial related question, there is a financial team. So please make sure that you also get that in mind, because there is a dedicated financial team to answer all of your financial questions. And if you have trouble with logging in, or your platform has specific features that you're not seeing, make sure you talk to the technical team, and they will be available to solve your issues as fast as they can, and they are quite fast in doing so. So just so you have an awareness. And one more thing that I just want to mention as a service that we offer is the career advising. This is something very, very unique and very powerful, because it does service you as an online student across all programs. Here you get to meet professionals from your industry and from your area that have years and years of experience, and then they can give you career advice. They can have a conversation with you about what your goals are. They can do a bit of mentoring with you. They can even sit down with you and look at your CV, see how you can better improve it, see how you can become more visible on the work market, and how you can turn your business identity or your personal identity as a professional into something that is more competitive. And of course, they can also provide mock interviews where you can practice a bit of, let's say you have a very important interview that might come and you don't know how to prepare, they can offer this service as well. So keep in mind, there is a career advising service for all of our online students, and they are there to support you in these kinds of aspects of your career. Good. So we got a general picture and an overview of the different services that we offer. We looked at the enrollment process. We looked at the student support management processes. We looked at all of the services that we offer. Now what we want to do is that we want to have a poll question for you to kind of understand where you're sitting with all of these services. So I'll ask kindly my producer to bring up the poll. And then in the meantime, while I invite our audience to take a few seconds to answer this poll, I'm going to ask both of you, in your experience, what kind of, the online studies, who would you say that they address? What kind of people you get to interact with? Are they young professionals? Are they working professionals? What is the profile of people that you get to meet in your servicing, let's say? And both of you, whichever one can start.
A big mix, probably with an edge to working professionals. It does tend to be people who are working full-time and they're either looking to progress in your career or gain some more skills, or even to make official skills which you already have. So that is the overwhelming type. But of course, there are people from all walks of life that we get to talk to from all over the world, all ages, really from early 20s to 60s. So
yeah, even 70s. Sometimes we have students graduating and say, oh, I just turned 70 as well, and think, oh, why did you do your master's? What were you interested in doing? And just, oh, I just wanted to learn something new, or, you know, I wanted to further develop myself. So really, you know,
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's so nice, because then, I mean, there's no age limit to, you know, study online. Of course, I think the common group is, you know, working professionals, maybe 30 and up, but I mean, also young people, older people. There's no limit on who can study online, which is the beauty of it as well.
Yeah.
And it's an inspiration for everyone who wants. I mean, if you can do an online degree at 70, why not do it whenever you can? Brilliant. So let's see the poll results. Wow, we've done a very good job. Congratulations to both of you who have explained quite well. So over 80% of people said that they have a good understanding of what kind of services we're offering. And that is very, very encouraging, because we are very proud of the teams that are working behind to put each student on the success road, and to make sure that you have everything you need as a student to succeed in your studies. There are still a couple of people who have a few questions, and yes, this is the perfect forum for you to ask all of your questions. We have a dedicated staff in the background to answer as many questions as they can in the time that they have. And just a few people still don't understand, and that's okay. This is what our role is here, to make sure that we explain as clearly and as concisely as we can all of the aspects of online learning here at the University of Liverpool Online. So thank you for that, and thank you for answering the poll. That was very, very encouraging for us too, because it means that we are doing a good job today with the information that we're giving you so far. Okay, and we've reached the Q&A portion of our time. So I have a couple of questions that I've already received from our audience beforehand. I'm going to go through a couple of the questions, and however both of you feel, if one of you feels that you have a better grasp on the answer of the question, then be my guest and just go ahead and answer it. So Iwayana asks which are the ways that the University of Liverpool will support their online students to succeed or to pass the programs. How about the students that are not that good in writing essays?
Well, really, I think the support starts from your initial inquiry, because your enrollment advisor will be able to help you with that, and especially with writing English. Some programs do have official requirements, others it's a bit more subjective. But again, your enrollment advisor will be able to talk you through that and maybe give you some advice regarding your level of English and how to present yourself in your application, and the requirements of each individual course as well.
And then definitely once you start your studies, if you decide that it's a good idea, of course, the Writing Center, like I talked about, is there for you to, develop your academic writing and make it stronger. And I think even, from Module 1 to Module 8, nobody's going to start off as the strongest student ever. It just takes time to get used to the academics as well. So, as time goes on, you'll get, better at writing essays or doing any assignments that are required as well. But definitely you have a lot of people here to support you from, the initial inquiry as well to when you're in your studies.
Yes, and also take into account that this is new for a lot of people, and probably even the educational system, the British educational system, is new for a lot of people. So you will have support from the beginning, and we have that into consideration when we're actually building the programs, that you will take time to, learn a new academic language, to, improve your academic writing. So there is enough support for you to just get started. Thank you both for answering that. The next question comes from Mohammed. Does the university help graduates to approach organizations or multinational companies for supporting their CVs or having career advisors to help? We've already covered that in the career advising service, but you can also answer to the question. Do we also give the opportunity for multinationals to connect with our students?
I think not specifically. We would, set up a conversation. Of course, with the career services, that's a vital source that you can use. But also, you can connect with people from your classrooms as well, either if it's just through, WhatsApp or LinkedIn, as you guys had talked about in one of the previous sessions as well, because that's going to help you connect to people all around the world, which is, a global network that you might as well take advantage of. But definitely for a specific career advice, follow the advice that Michael was talking about earlier to check out the career advice available.
Okay, thank you so much. Matthew, I think this one is for you. So if I'm not decided on a program specifically, how will you be able to support me in choosing the right program that fits my career?
Well, firstly, it would be a question of talking through your goals and what you're looking for the future, because the last thing you want to do is get on the wrong track. And the sooner we can, identify what it is that you're looking for and what we have that can help you meet that goal, the better for both of us. So really, we would also be assessing your background and your work experience to see which programs would be a good opportunity for you, and then talking through what is actually going to be contained in those programs, as well as some other students that may have gone through the programs themselves to have an idea of where you might end up afterwards.
And Matthew, where do they have to start? I mean, in the conversations that you have, do they already need to kind of have an idea of what kind of program they need to go through, or what kind of objectives do they need to have? Or do you also get people that are completely clueless and you still manage to kind of walk them through, this process?
I mean, clueless is a broad term, and never completely. And most people have an idea of the direction they want to go in, but of course, you might have someone who initially inquires about a health program, and then after a couple of conversations, actually, a business management is closer to what they're looking for. So really, it can go either way. And when you make that initial inquiry, you're never boxed in. And even just having the conversation with an enrollment advisor can really clear things up in your own head as to where you want to take your future learning.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much for clarifying that. Helen asks, will there be an opportunity to ask questions face-to-face if needed? So I'm guessing that this is probably during studies, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it really depends. Usually not face-to-face. Sometimes, with your enrollment advisor, you might Skype. It really depends on what you're comfortable with or what people want to do. Most of our conversations do take place over email. It is online communication, but as well we do, reach out to students over the phone, especially if something's not going right or if they have a specific inquiry that, going back and forth over email, it's exhausting sometimes, especially if you have a question specifically about your enrollment. Probably better, but just talking over the phone sometimes solves any issues. But yeah, usually email or over the phone. We do have chat services as well, and definitely face-to-face could be discussed with the writing center. Of course, face-to-face being Skype, because a lot of students are remote, so we're not all in the same place as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So Linda asks, could you please walk us through the process of getting the necessary documents to be ready to start? Maybe Matthew, you can answer that.
So like I said before, the first step would be having a conversation with your enrollment advisor about your own background. The university considers a mix of academic history as well as work experience. And as a general rule, the more you have of one, the less you need of another, and vice versa. So really, it depends heavily on your background as to what documents you're going to need. Now, once you've had that conversation, your enrollment advisor will be able to tell you exactly what you need to submit. As a general rule, everyone needs to have, a passport or driving license, highest academic certificates, breakdown of your work history, which you fill in a very simple online form, and also a motivation statement outlining your goals for study. Now, there may be some other certificates that we need in relation to whatever degree it is that you want to study, and that's where your enrollment advisor will be able to step in and advise you of what you need to produce.
Okay, thank you for that. Katie, how often are tutors and health staff online to help and support students?
So if you're in a module, your instructor is always going to be there for as long as the module is running. So you'll be able to get in contact with them, throughout the module. Usually they reply within 24 hours if you've reached out to them inside the classroom. So they're always there as well to help you. With our student support team, we're here Monday to Friday business hours. Sometimes that varies depending on our work schedules, but we're always here as well. Same with our finance team, or similar business hours, but what's really good is our tech support team is 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you ever, face any issues logging in, especially if you are in a module which is ongoing, it's important, just to get in contact with our tech support team and to know as well that, they're here around the clock so they can assist you at any time.
Okay, thank you, Katie, for that. Matthew, I think this one is for you. Do I need specifically to have a bachelor degree to be eligible for a master's degree?
As a general rule, no, not specifically, but that does depend on the program. Some programs do require that you have a bachelor's degree. And also, if you don't have a huge amount of relevant work experience, then a bachelor's degree is definitely going to augment your application. So again, it can be subjective. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, often it is possible to make up for that with sizable work experience. However, it is program specific.
Okay, brilliant. Now, a question from my side, because I know that this is sometimes something that people ask. Is there any difference in support that we offer from different programs to different programs? Some programs require a specific type of support, while others require a different type of support?
I think that's a question for you.
Yeah, it really depends on the student, I think. It doesn't matter about the program per se. It really depends on what the student is up to, what they're experiencing. It's more of an individual case basis about, what kind of support that student needs. With some certain programs as well, the faculty are very much involved, such as with the Master of Public Health program. But with other ones, you don't need as much support as possible, but definitely, as much support is there as well. So we're always there to advise on what specific programs are. And of course, if you need to get in touch with the instructor, we'll let you know how to do that. If the faculty needs to get involved, of course, we're there to liaise with them as well.
Good. And my final question for you, what would you advise anyone who's thinking about taking up a program right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you are giving it a serious thought, get in touch and we can help you talk you through it. With any questions you have, be it about your own background, about enrolling, and what the program's going to do for you in the future. Those are really the three big things, and we can help you with all of them.
Yeah, just exactly that. And, ask as many questions as possible, because it's good to ask early on rather than, get there and not know really what to do. And you have all of us here to help assist. So, we're all here to answer your questions.
Yeah.
And we cannot stress that enough. There is an entire team supporting you from the moment that you actually pick up the phone and you inquire about any of our programs or write us an email, to all the way up until graduation, which, by the way, we did not mention, but there is also a service that we offer, graduation support as well, for you to know how to get to Liverpool, what the graduation process is like, what you need to do on the day, and we're also going to be there to cheer you through and to applaud you for the well-deserved applause that you need, because you've been through a 3.5 year program, and you've earned your degree, and you are now at the center of everything, as you were throughout your journey with the University of Liverpool online programs. So I hope that we've covered the services that we offer, and I hope that we made it clearer about what kind of support we offer. And I hope that you actually feel confident right now that there is a team of wonderful, ambitious professionals working day in and day out for you to succeed in your studies. And of course, alongside of this, you also have the support system given by your family and by your friends. You also have the support system given by your workplace, because those are also support systems that you will need to be successful. And yeah, just the question is, what is stopping you right now? Please make sure to go ahead and check out our website for more information on our programs and everything that has to do with the University of Liverpool Online. I will put again the dates for you for the next application deadline and for the next start date, and just mark those in your calendar. Get busy with the application process. Make sure you put in your calendar a meeting with your enrollment advisor. And yeah, we are waiting for you to start your online journey with the University of Liverpool. And with that in mind, I want to thank the both of you for joining us and presenting, all of the support systems that we have. And I'm really, really grateful and thankful that you cleared the picture on that specific question.